I think Utah, because Jerry from Ogden, he's a good dude. He's just a Ute fan, man. His whole family went there. The problem is that vocal minority, and BYU fans will tell you it's the entire fan base, the vocal minority can ruin it for the whole. But what it has created is now Iowa State beats Cincinnati. Oklahoma State beats Cincinnati. You don't care. No one cares. But if you beat Utah, then even if they're not good, beating Texas rocked every time, especially when they sucked. I think if you still have that presence in your conference, you create higher viewership, you create butts in seats because they just want to see you beat that team everyone hates. If Utah has become that or can become that, they become the most important fan base, most important team in the Big 12.
Yeah, but
ASU stormed the field.
Is that team
ASU
not
stormed
Colorado?
the field when they beat Utah. People made fun of them, and I'm like, no, I'm all about this. They're ranked. That's fine. I don't care.
I think
100% agree with Drake. That felt good to see the kids come onto the field.
Yeah.
I will say having Utah is great because it means Houston wins a football game and doubles up a team of basketball. So I'll take all those all the time.
And you double your win total.
That's a great point by Parker, though. Like, we lost to Houston last year. I just don't feel like, Texas became Texas, right? They had all this success that transformed them into something. To me, there's a difference between we thought Utah was going to be good last year versus now they are consistently going to be compared to Texas. And every year, everyone will have Utah circled on their schedule. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong, and maybe you still will this year, but I don't think 2 years from now you're going to have that.
Your fan base has a whole army of bots that are claiming that Utah's going to win the Big 12 this year.
Jake, what about your army of bots in my comments every day?
Oh,
That's just Jake. That's not bots.
That's me.
Andy.
Kenny Pickett hands.
And for what it's worth, JT, we also beat Niner Pulse West Virginia the one time we got to play them in football. We're 1-1 against wherever Cam is, Baylor, and those guys. We've got a couple.
I'll see you this year, Parker. I'll see you this year.
Drake's saying it's already Utah. I'm not sure it is. Like, yes, they were the villain last year. I agree with that. Maybe they are again this year, but I still feel like the Texas of this conference is going to be determined by who goes on to have that success. If it's ASU and they win back-to-back Big 12 titles this year, then it becomes them.
Initially I wanted to say you were crazy, Drake, but the more I think about it, it actually does make some sense because
the more JT speaks, the more Cody's behind him.
I do hate
Let's just go
JT.
4-8 and then talk about how they're going to win the national championship every single mother trucking year.
Can I make one other suggestion?
Well on their way to being that guy.
Not just because he's on the screen, I mistook him and Richie back and forth. But if Deion Sanders stays at Colorado, did they not have a say in this? Because I feel like people like beating Coach Prime, right?
That's what I was saying.
Might actually be the right answer.
Yes.
I think it's got to be the right answer because Colorado is one of the most viewed teams in college football, and 80% of those views are people hoping that they lose, hoping they could go comment in Deion Sanders' comment section like, hey, your team sucks. Hey, where's that Louis luggage? Hey, where's this? Like, when I get more text messages, I'll tell you this way. I get more messages or comments when it's something negative about Colorado, right? When they were on a winning streak and they were doing well and there was granted, like 7 teams had a path to the Big 12 championship, but when they had a path to the Big 12 championship, there was a lot less interaction. And then all of a sudden they lose to Kansas and everyone's like, Colorado sucks again. Like, go look at like the coverage of the NFL draft. Everyone wanted Shedeur Sanders to fall because they wanted to hate on Colorado. So I think Utah is probably like the Big 12 answer if you exclude Colorado. But I think there's probably not a team in college football that more people want to lose than Deion Sanders in Colorado. Excuse me.
It's not just the Big 12. Like, that's an awesome point. Is you got the whole nation that's just hate watching Colorado because of the way that Deion talks and because of the way that Shedeur talks. Like, that's totally valid. And if that continues to be a thing, I mean, I don't see why that wouldn't be the case. If you have another quarterback or another star player that comes on and, is the big talker and backs up the Deion Sanders aura that he kind of brings out, like, I can totally see that.
And to Richie's point, if Drake made the comp because of the way Texas was in this conference, obviously Houston went in at the same time, but as a person who lives in Texas, more people than just the Big 12 celebrated Texas losses every time they happened, right? Like, it didn't really matter what conference your team, CUSA, AAC, SEC, it didn't matter. People cheered on watching for an orange teams lose, right? And
no one does that for Utah outside the Big 12.
But I think people do for Deion in Colorado.
But why? What's the question I have is why? What would you really want to dig into? Why?
We can.
I think it's a really multifaceted answer.
It's a pretty easy answer, right? There's the obvious one that no one wants to talk about, right?
Okay.
Then there's also the reason that he's willing to be confident and loud, which is another reason that people dislike him. And I think there's also people who just don't like Colorado getting attention because it's not a traditional.
That's like the furthest from the truth.
Yeah, I agree. That's pretty low down the totem pole.
Yeah, that's like the way down there.
Okay, but I'm saying people hate that it's not a traditional program. They hate that he's trying to bring energy and, I guess, hype up a program that's not the Texases, the Ohio States.
And also, I guess I'm minority then.
They also brought in a rabid fan base that isn't fully familiar with college football. And so when they beat TCU and all of a sudden there was the graphic of like who would win LSU versus Colorado, it's like the media was too excited for Colorado as well. And I don't think that helps their case as well.
Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. With the NBA playoffs here, there's no better way to get in on the action than FanDuel. FanDuel has been what's great about FanDuel is I can just add an element to watching a game. It's like an onion. I peel it back. Like, okay, already fun to watch the game. Now I peel the next layer. Oh, really fun to like have a vested interest in it. And then, oh, really, really fun to have same game parlays where I can watch one game and be rooting for 2, 3, 4 things at the same time. It elevates the whole experience. You can pick which players are showing up in the biggest moments and how do you know when they're showing up? You can track that through FanDuel, and those trends help you build your next bet. And you can combine live prop bets mid-game based on how the action unfolds. And you can get a $200 bonus bets to add to your excitement if your first $5 bet hits. New to FanDuel, the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com, place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. Visit FanDuel today.
Well, right. You talk about using the term like new money, essentially, is what you're talking about what Colorado is here. It's kind of what BYU is right now at the Power 4 level. What BYU is doing in the transfer portal, all it's done is alienate opposing fan bases. Hi, JT. Hi, Baylor. But
Cody's fan, some of them.
Cody, Oklahoma State
Cody was chill about it. Cody was cool about
Cody in here.
I saw some Oklahoma State fans that were not happy about it.
The thing is, though, people don't like new money to come in and supplant others, and that's what Colorado and BYU. They're disruptors. That's what they're doing to the sport right now.
I would say one interesting thing in the comp,
like Colorado has so much coverage, people hate it, and the YouTube thing, I think, was like an automatic red flag for most people because a lot of what Deion Sanders does behind closed doors is shown on YouTube. And although that happens at 99.9% of other schools, like nobody sees those conversations. And so I think that rubbed a lot of people the wrong way where they just think that college football is like this perfect utopia where no one's feelings are hurt and stuff like that. Sorry, Parker.
No, I was just going to say that a lot of the reasons you were saying but not saying about why people hate on Deion and Colorado too are kind of the opposite at UT Austin, right? I mean, there was the whole fight song stuff and all that kind of like that they're standing firm on for whatever reason. Like those kinds of things, I think almost it's a weird inverse that people also hate on Colorado.
Well, I want to double down on that point you just made because some people might want to push back, but Bill from Groesbeck, who's a Texas fan, is traditional. I'll put it that way. He's traditional. You know, 90% of these people are fairly traditional in the state of Texas. In Colorado, on the other hand, genuinely, you go to Fort Collins. Daryl, who's been a longtime Buffs fan from Fort Collins, probably is a very different person with a very different lifestyle than the guy who's in Groesbeck. And I do think that lends itself to how the university is perceived. And for UT, I think you've hit the nail on the head. It's kind of been the opposite of why a lot of people hate on Deion Sanders.
The one thing that's funny with Deion, too, is because he does a lot of things that traditional coaches and traditional fans of the sports would like and are about. For example, he has his guys playing the bowl game. He wants to have a spring game. You look at the way he tries to keep – what was the thing he did, Borba, a few weeks ago where he had one of his, like, offensive linemen give his, like, insurance spiel in front of the team like that? That's why Deion does a lot of great things, too. I think some people just get rubbed the wrong way over some of the social media stuff, but I think Deion's great for the sport. And
I love where we took this the conversation of Utah being the most important. I don't want to make the case that Colorado is the most important fan base. I want to make the case that Deion is the most important figure in the Big 12.
There's a difference.
He is the most important figure in the Big 12. I think Utah.
It's not you, Drake. It's not you.
It's close. It's not Brett Yormark. It's not Locked On Big 12. But I do think Deion Sanders commands that sort of attention worldwide. and that Utah, at least for Big 12 fans, commands a rivalry for hopefully all, and that is something that is helpful. This was enlightening and entertaining, and maybe we should go back to an hour format. Big Hatch, Locked On Cougars. Cody's still with Nick. Thoughts?
Second week in a row.
Wow, very good.
Have you guys seen the Rivals portal rankings for all the Big 12? The Big 12 has a ton of teams in the Rivals rankings.
There we go.
Like a ton. Texas Tech
Paul,
at 3.
right at the end of the show?
Won.
Yeah, Texas will be up there.
It's that post-Duggan clarity, baby.
West Virginia's at number 9.
I can't wait to hear next week who Drake ran into.
Border with the Buffs, Brad Shaw of Sun Devils, JT West Show, Locked On Utes, Bucker Ainsworth with the Cougs of Houston. This has been It Always Will Be. Thanks for making it your first listen every single day. Locked On the Dos Grande Squad.